Who are the underdogs in Week 14 that are going to pull outright upsets? Rivalry week, there's always something, right? Always something that ends up happening. So let's go ahead and talk about it. Let's get to which ones I like this week. I'm not going to put a bunch of graphics on the screen, all that kind of stuff. I'm just going to tell you, okay? First one I like this week, Marshall, plus 145 at James Madison. This James Madison team is hit or miss. They're number 128 in strength of schedule right now. Not very good. They've played a pretty easy Sunbelt strength of schedule. And last week, they got absolutely boat raced by App State, who is not a very good football team. Now you got to go up against Marshall, who is playing to get into the Sunbelt title game, who is looking for their 9th win. Charles Huff may be trying to find an extension, potentially. I think North Carolina should call Charles Huff. But either way, Huff is an FFC to me. So, Marshall plus 145 is the best money line that you can get on them right now. I think they win the game outright. That line has gone from 2.5 up to 3.5 in favor of James Madison. I'm not buying it. I will take Marshall to win that one outright. Game number 2, Kansas State plus 120 at Iowa State. The Iowa State advanced metrics are not very good. My 5 factors plus talent rating actually would have Kansas State favored in the game. So that was a little bit surprising to me. Let's see. Yeah. It would have Kansas State a 50.5% chance to win that game outright. The implied odds at the sportsbook right now have Iowa State with a 57.8% chance to win the game outright. I think Kansas State is better than Iowa State. If they can keep from turning the football over, yeah, that would obviously help things for sure. And so, game number 3, Utah going to UCF. Now this one's a little tricky. It's the Friday night game, but Utah plus 290 at UCF. That line is like 9 right now, somewhere around there. But the best odds you can get to win outright is Utah plus 290. Now, the reason why I might take Utah here, obviously they have been really bad on offense. The sportsbook odds have UCF at 75.9% chance to win the game outright. That's the implied odds. I've got them at closer to 53.86. Not closer to. I've got them right at 53.86%. And here's what you got to look at. Kyle Whittingham, the Utah head coach, talked this week about how he would make the best decision regarding his retirement. He would make the best decision for the Utah football program. There is a world where he has told these guys, and that Utah still has a fantastic defense. There's a world where he's told these guys already that he's hanging it up, and this is a go out and win one for the Gipper situation. I want to be on that side. So give me Utah plus 290 at UCF. Both teams already have 7 losses. They're not making it to a bowl game. Not a whole lot to play for. If you've got one team that has extra motivation, that's the side I want to be on. Number 4, Eastern Michigan. Eastern Michigan plus 210 going to Western Michigan. Both of these teams vying for a bowl bid. Eastern Michigan always seems to play above their heads. Right now, I still have Western Michigan projected to win the game 53.51%. The sportsbooks have them, though, at 64.79%. I think this is closer to a pick'em than it is Western Michigan. Right now, if Western Michigan was favored by like 5.5, I've got them favored by a little over 2, and my last 4 projection actually has Eastern Michigan favored by a field goal. So I will take a shot. Eastern Michigan plus 210 at Western Michigan. So that's game 4. Game number 5. We're going to the Rose Bowl. Fresno plus 275 at UCLA. UCLA, not a lot to play for. I believe Duck is the one that told us in the chat today on the BetUS show. He said that UCLA is 1-8 against the spread the week after the USC game. They are missing out on a bowl game. UCLA is. Fresno, a little extra motivation. Team performance is going to have something to do with whether or not Tim Skipper gets to keep that job full time. Obviously, the offense has just fallen off a cliff this year. But 5 factors plus talent. I've got UCLA with a 49.42% chance to win the game. The implied odds from the sports book have it UCLA 78.49%. I think Fresno can absolutely win this game outright. Game number 6, Oklahoma. Plus 190 at LSU. Yes, it is Death Valley at night. Yes, LSU finally got a win last week. I get it. I understand all of this. However, 5 factors plus talent has this game a pick'em. The spread currently has LSU with 67.74% implied odds. It might even be higher than that now. I think Oklahoma found something last week. I think Jackson Arnold and that offense are going to be able to run on this LSU defense. And I think that Oklahoma's edge rushers can get home against Garrett Nussmeier. I don't necessarily trust that LSU offensive line right now, especially being rushed in the middle of the offensive line. So give me Oklahoma plus 190 for that. And then these last two, there's no numbers to back this up. There's just not. This is vibes. This is I feel like something like this could happen. Number 7, Syracuse. At home against Miami. Syracuse is plus 325 to win the game outright. The ACC stuff could get real hairy. Real hairy. So I will take Syracuse plus 325. I think Gadsden and that offense can, and McCord, of course, throwing them the ball. I think they would love nothing more than to ruin Miami's season. If Miami doesn't win this game, Clemson goes to the ACC championship. And I think that South Carolina probably beats Clemson. I think this is going to be a really, really tight game. But this one, Syracuse, I think this could be a really tight game as well. So I will take the Cuse on this. And then final one, number 8. I'll give you guys 8 of them every week. USC plus 240 at home against Notre Dame. Notre Dame has not had to face any team this talented in a long, long time. The last one that was close was Louisville, and Louisville outgained them by over 100 yards in that game. They lost the turnover battle, though, and Notre Dame was able to capitalize, etc. Now, that's been a while ago, but since then, they've played a banged-up Virginia squad, Georgia Tech without their quarterback, 2 service academies, Stanford with a banged-up quarterback. I mean, what do you do, right? So Notre Dame has certainly taken those teams absolutely apart, but I think that USC can keep this thing close. And, I mean, Lincoln Riley would love nothing more than to get a win over Notre Dame to kind of rebuild a little bit of hype, get some goodwill going into this offseason, for sure. I'll tell you one thing he doesn't want to do. He doesn't want to have to deal with Oklahoma in a bowl game. So give him one more win and see if you can avoid that, for sure. All right, let's recap it. Marshall, plus 145 at James Madison. Kansas State, plus 120 at Iowa State. Utah, plus 290 at UCF. I'll take Eastern Michigan, plus 210 at Western Michigan. Fresno, plus 275 at UCLA. Oklahoma, plus 190 at LSU. And then Syracuse, plus 325 at home against Miami. USC, plus 240 at home against Notre Dame. Thanks for listening to Winning Cures Everything. Make sure and follow me on Twitter, at GaryWCE. If you want to toss in a question, you can email me, Gary@winningcureseverything.com. Make sure and hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you next time.